I just want to check my balance, the janitor said softly, almost apologetically. The billionaire laughed. Not a polite laugh, not a nervous one, a sharp, loud laugh that echoed across the marble floors of the private bank lounge, turning heads and curling lips into quiet smirks. The kind of laugh that says you don't belong here. The kind that stings long after the sound fades. And that is exactly where this story begins. If you believe real heroes walk among us unnoticed, if you believe a single moment of kindness can change an entire life, and if stories of resilience, dignity, and quiet strength move your heart, then take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. These stories deserve to be told. And this one, you will never forget. The janitor's name was Daniel Reyes. He wore faded work boots, a navy blue uniform with his name stitched crookedly above the pocket, and hands so rough they told 1,000 untold stories. Every night, long after the executives went home, Daniel cleaned the same private bank, the most exclusive financial institution in the city. The kind of place where wealth moved in silence and power sat behind bulletproof glass. Daniel didn't belong here, at least that's what the world kept reminding him. 3 years earlier, Daniel had been a mechanical technician at a shipping yard. Honest work, modest pay, a simple, happy life with his wife Sophia and their 6-year-old daughter, Isabella. Then one rainy evening changed everything. A drunk driver ran a red light. Sophia never made it home. In a single night, Daniel became a single father, a broken husband, and a man drowning in medical bills and funeral costs. The shipping company downsized 6 months later. Daniel lost his job, the savings ran out, pride took a beating, and survival knocked louder than shame. So he became a janitor. Not because he was lazy, not because he lacked skill, but because his daughter needed food, school fees, medicine when she got sick, and a father who refused to quit. Every morning, Daniel packed Isabella's lunch with surgical care: 2 slices of bread, peanut butter spread thin enough to last the week, a piece of fruit if he could afford it. At night, after working 2 shifts, he'd come home exhausted, sit beside her bed, and help with homework while fighting sleep with every fiber of his being. He never complained, not once. On this particular evening, Daniel wasn't supposed to be in the VIP bank lounge. But a late-night spill had been reported just outside it. He pushed his cleaning cart inside quietly and began doing what he always did, work with his head down. That's when he saw the man. Evan Whitmore, the billionaire, tech mogul, investment king, one of the richest men in the country. The man whose companies moved markets with a single statement. He stood near the private ATM reserved for elite clients, dressed in a tailored suit that probably cost more than Daniel made in a year. Daniel wasn't staring because of envy. He was staring because his daughter, Isabella, had once pointed to this man's photo on a magazine and said, "Papa, that's the man who built the hospital Mommy went to, right?" Daniel had nodded. That hospital's charity wing kept Sophia alive for 6 extra months. And now, that same man was standing a few feet from him. Daniel finished mopping and turned to leave, but something inside him hesitated. His phone buzzed in his pocket. A reminder from the school's payment app flashed across the screen. Outstanding balance. Final notice. His throat tightened. He hadn't checked his bank account in days. He was afraid to, but he had to know if he could at least make a partial payment, just enough to keep Isabella from being embarrassed when the teacher called her name. The private ATM glowed behind Evan Whitmore, idle and unused. Daniel hesitated. He knew it was technically reserved, but there was no sign saying he couldn't. He approached carefully, like a man stepping onto sacred ground. That's when Evan turned around and saw him. "Are you lost?" Evan asked coolly. "No sir," Daniel replied, shrinking slightly. "I just want to check my balance real quick. I'll be done in 30 seconds. Then Evan laughed. "Your balance," he repeated, amused. "On that machine." The surrounding staff stiffened. One young assistant looked down at the floor. A guard shifted his weight but said nothing. Daniel felt every inch of that laughter on his skin. He knew what Evan saw: a janitor wasting time, a man out of place dreaming above his station. "I'm sorry if it's not allowed," Daniel said quietly, already stepping back. Evan waved dismissively. "Go ahead, let's all enjoy the moment." Daniel swallowed hard and inserted his worn card into the machine. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of years of struggle pressing down on that single moment. The screen loaded. Processing. The room was silent now. Balance: $47,382,119.76. For a fraction of a second, no one breathed. Then the billionaire's smile collapsed. He leaned forward, once, twice, as if his eyes were lying to him. "That's impossible," Evan whispered. The guard leaned in. The assistant gasped. The staff exchanged confused glances. Daniel barely registered the number. He was searching for the available balance icon, worried about whether his school payment would go through. Evan grabbed the edge of the machine. "Whose card is that?" Daniel froze. "Mine, sir." The room felt like it tilted. "That kind of money doesn't belong to Janitor'S," Evan said slowly. Daniel finally looked at the screen properly. And for the first time in his life, he saw a number so large it didn't feel real. His knees buckled. He caught himself on the counter. I think there's been a mistake," he stammered. Evan's expression changed, not to anger, but to something far more dangerous. Curiosity. They traced the account. The room filled with phone calls, hushed voices, rapid typing. 10 minutes felt like 10 years. Daniel stood there shaking, convinced police would arrive, convinced his life was about to fall apart in a completely new way. Then the truth surfaced. 3 years earlier, a faulty insurance system rerouted a multi-billion-dollar corporate settlement into a dormant account that matched Daniel's old social security number from a legacy employment database. The account was flagged but never frozen due to a back-end error no one had audited. Daniel had unknowingly been a billionaire, on paper. But he had never touched the money. Not once. All those years. All that suffering. While unimaginable wealth sat silent behind digital walls, Evan stared at Daniel in disbelief. Then slowly, his tone changed. "You lost your wife 3 years ago," Evan said quietly after reviewing the file. "You worked 2 jobs. You lived on donations. You could have used this. Taken all of it." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I swear, I didn't know. I just wanted to pay my daughter's school fees tonight." For the first time in years, the billionaire had no words ready. Evan dismissed the room and escorted Daniel into his private office. What followed was not interrogation. It was listening. Daniel told him about Sophia. About Isabella. About the nights he skipped dinner so his daughter could eat. About birthdays with handmade toys. About the way poverty humbles you without mercy. And something inside Evan Whitmore cracked open. Because for all his money, his power, his legacy, he had never known hunger. Never known fear of eviction. Never known the ache of choosing between medicine and electricity. By morning, everything had changed. Legally, the money still belonged to the corporate settlement. It would take months to resolve. But Evan did something no lawyer advised. He advanced Daniel a private loan of $5 million. No interest, no collateral, just trust. "Raise your daughter," Evan said quietly. "The way your wife would have wanted." News eventually leaked. The internet exploded. Billionaire mocks janitor, then discovers shocking truth. But by then, the real story had already unfolded quietly. Daniel paid Isabella's school for the next 10 years in full. He moved out of the one-room apartment and into a modest home near a park. He funded a small scholarship in Sophia's name for children of single parents. And 3 months later, the settlement court ruled. The money had legally sat untouched for 3 years. The corporation's claim expired under a rare technical statute. The $47 million now legally belonged to Daniel Reyes, the janitor who just wanted to check his balance. Daniel didn't become flashy. He didn't change overnight. He still wore simple clothes. Still packed Isabella's lunch himself every morning. Still volunteered at the hospital that once saved his wife. But now, he never again had to choose between survival and dignity. Years later, Evan Whitmore would say in an interview, "I've built 100 companies. I've closed billion-dollar deals. But the night I laughed at a janitor, and learned who he truly was, changed me more than any success ever did." And Daniel, he taught Isabella one lesson above all others. "Money can change your life," he told her, "but character is what tells your story." And if this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness costs nothing and dignity is priceless, then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Because the world needs more stories like this, and more people who still believe quiet heroes walk among us every day.